What's up, everybody? Welcome to podcast now. I'm Alex. In this video, we get to talk about Control 2. That makes me very happy in case anybody cares about my mental well-being. Look, in the last little while, I've been doing these Game Awards prediction videos, and one idea that I feel much better about actually now as we start getting closer and closer in terms of a big announcement, kind of, a showstopper, something you're going to be talking about afterwards, I predicted would be maybe Max Payne's remake. I think timing makes sense. I think Remedy, all of these different things, when the game's actually going to come out, how long it's been, what they've done before. They announced Alan Wake 2 at the Game Awards years ago, right? I feel like that's a really, it's a possible one. And also, as I've broken down multiple times in multiple videos, Max Payne remake is always ahead of Control 2. So even though we're about to talk about Control 2, Max Payne has always been ahead of it in terms of development. It's probably coming out first. It might come out a year before, might come out 6 months before, but I think it's coming out first. So I was talking about that, and then wouldn't you know it, now we get something with Control 2, which let me tell you, if you walk out of the Game Awards and you show me Control 2 and Max Payne, I feel like Jeff Keighley gets an A+, right? Like, what else do you really need to do? Yeah, it's very Remedy heavy, but who really cares, right? Okay, so what we have here is we actually have a trademark to what could actually be the game's name. And I think for the YouTube algorithm, still to call it Control 2 right now is the best idea. I'll change its name if it's actually called something else and when that's revealed. But this was spotted a little while ago. I'm going to take this from Insider Gaming. But actually, MP First was the first one to spot it. It was found on the European Union Intellectual Property website. Now, the title itself, right? Control Resonance, okay? So not necessarily Control 2. The big thing to note is you actually look at that representative name, and you see that Nordia Attorneys at Law, right? So they, interestingly, and this is what they say as well, interestingly enough, Remedy Entertainment uses those lawyers as well, which it seems like this is indeed a new Control title. Now, I don't know if it's here on Insider Gaming, but I think maybe on MP First. This actually, I think, like the actual trademark, it locks it in for like all of the different mediums, like movies, television, games. So, and by the way, that's not shocking. Remember, I mean, Remedy is working actively on getting these things to be kind of cross-medium properties, make an Alan Wake show or, something, they've talked about that, and I think they're actively, working on stuff like that. So, not shocking. And I mean, remember, Control 1 sold very well, incredibly well for them, and I believe it's kind of outsold anything else they've ever really done. So, Control, even though Alan Wake is kind of that flagship and, of course, goes back all the way to 2012, 2013, Control is actually, I would say, the flagship franchise, weirdly enough, of Remedy. So if you're making a Control 2 and then Control 2 really works, you'd be looking at Control as a franchise to make a TV show from or to make a movie. And I think that's, something like this, again, that actually would just add more credibility to it, where it's their lawyers, it's got its name, how many things are called Control. Resonance definitely sounds like, and you look at the definition, by the way, of resonance and how it could relate, definitely lines up. Like, it actually, I would be shocked if it wasn't, the trademark for Control 2. Now, does that necessarily mean anything? I mean, they lock it in. Look, when you trademark things, you could be doing that for years and years and years. Again, my prediction, I've said, I think Max Payne could sneak into late next year. Now, the issue there is it's Rockstar, right, technically, and they're also doing GTA 6, if you haven't heard of that game, and that comes out next fall. So my early prediction would be like Max Payne would be early 27, and then Control 2 would be late 27. That's kind of just right now, just, if you made me answer, that would be my prediction, is 2 years from now, we'd have Control 2. Now, a couple things you can say there. Does that trademark kind of check those boxes? Yes, number one. Number two, is it actually a good enough time? Because I think people are looking at this and saying, okay, well, because it's trademarked, now we get to talk about the Game Awards. And it's not crazy. And maybe Rockstar doesn't want, Max Payne, because they would have a huge say in that, right? Maybe they're not going to do Max Payne as long as GTA is around. I would find that to be really weird, though, because, again, Max Payne is ahead of Control, so you probably should show it first. But hey, again, you walk out with both of them, or you show Max Payne. I think, here's what I'll say to kind of end the video. I think Control 2 gets shown within the next 12 months. Kind of a cop-out, but I would say pretty easy thing to say. By next Game Awards, I think we'll have seen Control 2, because I think it would come out just the following year, maybe a year and a half, if you're unlucky in that sense, right? So that's kind of where I think we're at. We're really close. Remedy moves very fast for the the size, I would say, actually, they move incredibly fast. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.